This will be for the con exercise, special right triangles. So the two types of special right triangles, they have angle measurements of 45, 45, 90, and the other one is 30, 60, 90. So on the 45, 45, 90, let's label the sides. Okay, in all cases, when you go across from your right angle, from the angle to the side, that is considered your hypotenuse. Okay, I'll just abbreviate HYP. When you go across from the 45-degree angle, that is considered a leg. Okay, and the same is true with the other 45-degree angle. When you go across from the angle to the side, that is considered a leg. So for the 45, 45, 90 triangle, the legs are congruent to each other. So this side here is going to be congruent to this side here. Those are the same length. So the formula for the side lengths of a 45, 45, 90 triangle, the hypotenuse equals leg times radical 2. Okay, so that's the one and only formula for this triangle. You only need to be given one side length, and you can find the other two using this formula. Now for the 30, 60, 90, once again, you go across from your right angle to the side, and that is always your hypotenuse. All right, you go across from the 30-degree angle to the side, and that is considered your short leg. All right, so I'm just going to write short. And if you go across from the 60-degree angle to the side, that is considered your long leg. All right, so I'll just write long. Now for this triangle, there's actually two formulas. So the hypotenuse equals the short leg times 2, and the long leg equals the short leg times radical 3. All right, so for the 30, 60, 90 triangle, you have to choose the correct formula based on which side length you are given. Okay, of course, if you're given the short side length, you can use either one. But you have to choose the correct formula for this type of triangle. For 45, 45, 90, there's only one formula. So there's going to be three main steps for these problems. You want to find the missing angle, because they're usually only going to give you two angles. You want to label the sides, and then you want to use the correct formula. And I put in parentheses, you might need two. Okay, for the 30, 60, 90 triangle, you might need to use both formulas to get the answer. So these are the three steps. Now there's going to be a write-up for each problem, okay, but you don't need to read it. You can if it helps, but everything they mention in the write-up is labeled on the triangle. All right, the first step is to solve the missing angle. We're only dealing with two different types of triangles here. These are the angle measurements. So in this triangle, we have 90, 60. This has to be 30. All right. So really, we know what the angles are going to be. Okay, if you want to get technical, you can just subtract the sum of these two from 180 and you'll get 30. Anyhow, we want to label the sides next. Okay, we said across from 90. That side length is going to be your hypotenuse, HYP. Across from 30, that side is going to be your short leg. So I'll just write short. And finally, across from 60 is going to be your long leg. Now again, there's two formulas for the 30, 60, 90 triangle. Okay, as you can see, we have the short and we're looking for the hypotenuse. So we are going to be using this formula right here because we have the short and we're looking for the hypotenuse. So we don't need this one. Okay, so now we're just plugging in. Hypotenuse is x. The short leg is 2 radical 3. And that is times 2.
Good morning, Immaculate. Samir Watkins.
Times 2. Now, when you have numbers outside of the radical and inside of the radical, you treat them separately. Okay, so these are all multiplied. 2 times 2 is 4. And we still have radical 3. Final answer. So these are multiple choice. 4 radical 3. Answer D. Okay, step 1 we said would be to find the missing angle. We have 45, 90. This has to be 45. Step 2 is to label the sides. Okay, if we go across from the right angle to the side, that is our hypotenuse, HYP. Across from 45 degrees to the side, that is your leg. Across from 45 degrees to the side, that is also a leg. Okay, and now we want to use the correct formula. There's only one formula for 45, 45, 90, and that is hypotenuse equals leg times radical 2. So we see the hypotenuse is 12. We see the leg is x, and that's times radical 2. Solving for x, the opposite of times radical 2 is, the opposite is to divide by radical 2. You want to do that to both sides. All right, and these numbers cancel. Now, we're not supposed to have a square root in the denominator. So the way to get rid of that, if we keep the 12 radical 2, what you want to do is take this denominator here and multiply by that number.
May I have your attention?
Multiply by the denominator over itself. Okay, so we're basically just multiplying by 1. And when you multiply fractions, numerator times numerator, that's going to be 12 radical 2. Denominator times denominator, radical 2 times radical 2 is just 2. Okay, whenever you have a square root of a number multiplied by itself, you just remove the square root. All right, and finally, 12 divided by 2 is just 6. So the final answer is going to be 6 radical 2. All right, again, these are multiple choice. Answer C. All right, we have our triangle. We're looking to solve for x. We said the first step is to find the missing angle. Okay, we have 60, we have 90, so this angle has to be 30. Step 2 is to label the sides. If you go across from your right angle, that side length is your hypotenuse. If you go across from 60, that side length is your long leg. And finally, if you go across from 30 to the side, that side length is your short leg. Now there's two formulas for 30, 60, 90. We have to choose the correct one. Now the only side length we're given, and all of these, you're only given one side length. Here it's the hypotenuse, okay? So only one of these formulas has hypotenuse, so we need to use this one first. All right, so let's see. The hypotenuse is 18. The short leg we don't have, so I'll just call it short. And the short leg is times 2. Solving for the short leg, the opposite of times 2 is divided by 2. And it cancels here. 18 divided by 2 is 9. So the short leg equals 9. Now that's not what they asked us. They asked us to find the long leg, solve for x. So now we need the formula with the long leg in it, and now we're going to use this one. So using this formula, the long leg is x, the short leg is 9, and that's times radical 3. So that's it. 9 radical 3, 9 times radical 3, same thing. All right, so these are multiple choice. Answer D, 9 radical 3. All right, first step is to label the angles. We have, find the missing angle. We have 60, 90, this has to be 30. Now we want to label sides. Across from your right angle is your hypotenuse. Across from the 30-degree angle, that is your short side. And across from your 60-degree angle, that is your long side. Again, we have two formulas for 30, 60, 90. We want to choose the correct one. Notice we have the long side length here, so we need to use this formula. Okay, so the long side is 4 radical 3. The short side is x, and x is times radical 3. Solving for x, the opposite of times radical 3 is divided by radical 3. You want to do that to both sides. On the right-hand side, it cancels. And on the left-hand side, it also cancels. So x equals 4. Answer B. All right, last one. 60, 90, this angle has to be 30. All right, labeling the sides. Across from 90, that right there, that side length is your hypotenuse. Across from 30 to the side is your short side. And across from 60 to the side is your long side. Okay, so choosing the correct formula, we have the hypotenuse. Only one formula has hypotenuse, so we have to use this one. The hypotenuse is 6 radical 3. The short side is x, and x is times 2. The opposite of times 2 is divided by 2. Cancels here. 6 divided by 2 is 3. And the final answer is 3 radical 3. Answer C.